we are at the final lap of this conference. Last but not the least, we have a most interesting and famous speaker, Srimati Bharati Bhaskar, with us here today. Along with us, we also have CA Revati Raghunathan, Regional Council Member, SIRC of ICAI, with us here. May I now request CA Revati Raghunathan to give the speaker introduction.
The chairman of SARC and the other dignitaries, and Mrs. Bharati Bhaskar, and all the delegates who are online right now. It's a great pleasure to be back again with you for the last session. And who better than Mrs. Bharati Bhaskar to close out this wonderful conference which has been happening for the past 4 days. She's going to be speaking to us today about a quiver full of arrows. And, I think everyone will resonate with this because this quiver full of arrows is something which all of us, hear about both in mythology as well as in the modern day times with the Jeffrey Archer's books, where he's written a book on the quiver full of arrows. We have the bow and arrow in Ramayana, and we have Ekalavya and Dronacharya, and it is a part of our culture also. Bharati Bhaskar to talk to us today. She's a household name in Tamil Nadu, and I think the whole of South also, and needs no introduction. But ma'am, we do have to give you a formal introduction. She's a chemical engineer and a management graduate from the prestigious Anna University. She has had a banking career for more than 2 decades and is a director and the head of core operations in a multinational bank. And as we all know, she's a passionate speaker, passionate about public speaking, and a well-known motivational and a literary speaker. And on par about diversity, which our finance minister spoke about, she's a champion of diversity and has written 4 books in Tamil, mostly on diversity and on motivational subjects. She's a key member. We all know if I do a quiz, everyone will give us the right answer now. She's a key member of the Sun TV debating team under the moderation of Professor Solomon Papaya, and the team's debating shows is called Pattimandram, and it is telecast on all festival days. All of us are glued to our TVs, ma'am, on all the festival days, and it's hugely popular. And she's not only popular in Tamil Nadu, household name in Tamil Nadu, but in various countries where the Tamil diaspora lives. She believes in thought leadership and power of communication as a change agent. Over to you, ma'am. Or sorry, over to the MC. But ma'am, we are waiting to hear about your quiver full of arrows. Welcome.
Ma'am, one thing is similar. Even at the Pattimandram, she's held for the as a last speaker to give her last shot. Here also we have her here. So I hope this is going to be really, really grand. Ma'am, we have a felicitation for you. Over to the chairman of SIRC.
I would just like to add, when MC said that it is last, it is just a coincidence. We wanted the motivation to be the last so that when you go to the next things, you don't get down, because it's 4 days of knowledge which we have kind of given to all the delegates, and they go light and stay motivated. That's it. Over to you, ma'am.
The president of the SIRC of the ICAI, members of SIRC, chartered accountants, and delegates and friends. Thank you so much for this excellent opportunity. And thank you for the e-felicitation. I like the color of the shawl, by the way. Thank you. I think I have about half an hour. So I think it's a proud privilege for me to be in the midst of the sect of people who run the economy of this country. So I just had the privilege of listening to the previous speaker, MLA, Mr. Tyagarajan. And I think the array of topics that have been covered over the last 4 days should have been quite intrinsic, engaging, and should be very, very relevant to our respective worlds, because I'm a banker by profession, and to your world, the world of chartered accountants. So after all that, I was wondering, I was rather intrigued as to how come I was invited for this August gathering of chartered accountants. I'm not a chartered accountant by profession. I'm a chemical engineer, as you just heard, and I'm a management grad, and I'm a banker. And I'm more in the literary circles of the Tamil debating platform, if I may say so. So I was just wondering, what is it that brought us together? Maybe I was thinking that one reason could be that in my home, there are 3 chartered accountants. I'm a non-chartered accountant in a home which has got 3 chartered accountants. So you might have just wanted to check out, how does one person maintain one's balance of mind and stability when he or she lives amid so many chartered accountants? That could be one reason. Or at the fag end of the session, after hearing so many chartered accountants and financial professionals, you probably wanted to hear from the spouse of a chartered accountant as to how they manage their spouses. Could be one of the two. The second one is, of course, very tough. Most of the people who are in this conference, if you check with your spouses, I'm sure they are likely to agree. Being the spouse of a chartered accountant is not easy. That's because a lot of chartered accountants, I think the problem with them is that they can question everything. So my husband, for example, when I say that I have used, let's say, a packet of paneer, which is still not expired, he will not rest in peace till he actually captures the discarded cover and sees the expiry date himself. Whether that half packet with the expiry date is inside the fridge, or it's in the dustbin, or it's with my maid on her way to put it into the dustbin on the street, wherever it is, unless he takes it personally and checks the date, he is not going to believe what I'm going to tell him. So when I ask him, don't you guys believe? He says that that is a part of the profession that I have. So chartered accountants, you probably trust, but you always want to check. So have I been invited here because I carry this metal of being the mother of a chartered accountant and the spouse of a chartered accountant? I don't know. Or maybe the closest alignment between my profession and your profession could be that you know that the Oxford University Press every year brings out the most often used word for that year. In the year 2020, the word is pandemic, and we all know that, right? But in your world and my world, which is the world of the bankers and the chartered accountants, if you check for the word that has been mostly used during this year, I'm sure it's not pandemic, it's a different word. And I think that word is deadline, especially regulatory deadline. Deadline is a single word, and all of us know that you're dead if you don't meet that line. So in your world as chartered accountants, I think you're hounded by this word deadline. So you have to do something in the 44th day or the 77th day or the 120th day. And so is our world. The world of banking today, the most often heard word is not so much like a customer or a customer centricity, but it's about deadline as given by the regulator. Are you prepared to meet the regulatory deadline? Is your process ready? Is your systems ready? Is your society ready? I don't know, but there is a deadline. So whether you have processes to be compliant with the deadline or not, you surely have processes and systems to track whether you have met the deadline or you have not met the deadline. So maybe that's a striking similarity in between our words. Now, in the last 4 days, with so many terms as high lending, liquidity, how are the Japanese banks behaving, and then what about the GST and Section 3B and 1A within the GST. After hearing all of this for like 4 days, I'm now standing between you and the finale of this program. So I am well aware of the timelines. And let me tell you, while I'm not very sure as to why I got invited to this forum, but I'm personally very excited because while I'm not seeing most of you face to face, all that I'm able to see is that I'm in the midst of an intelligentsia which is shaping up the economy of our country. I'm talking to a set of people because a chartered accountant is no longer a person who gets visited every year, but a chartered accountant today is the brain behind every business. So I'm very excited about the fact that I got invited into this forum. And like Mrs. Revati rightly said, the topic I have chosen today has only one background, that when Mr. T.J. Suresh called me and he said that you must give a topic, and I said that mostly my topics are given by the channel and I don't choose it myself. And he insisted on a channel. I was having my most favorite author's story collection in my hand, which is Jeffrey Archer's Quiver Full of Arrows. So I gave that as a topic. But as I just get into the topic more and more, I find this to be very encouraging. But before I get into my topic, let me also tell you that as a motivational speaker, as I'm addressing different sects of people today, all that I keep telling them is that the so-called new normal is hitting us in several ways. Just be prepared for what you have always been unprepared. Just expect what you never expected. And all of us are examples for that. We as speakers, as people who have addressed public, we have always told our organizers that our words come from us only when we see the faces of the audience. So we have to be in the midst of a crowd for words to just flow like a river from our mouths. We have to see the celebration of the audience. The clapping has to be constantly heard in our ears. Otherwise, our words do fail us miserably. This is what we keep telling our organizers. But in the last 11 months, guess what? We have been on Zoom, mostly when the administrator would put the focus on the speaker. So we keep seeing our own faces and we are giving our talks. The only belief being that there are people who are still listening. Well, I'm not too sure. I'm able to see Madam Revati, but there is no other face that I'm seeing. But just in the belief that the world is listening to me and listening intently, I'll have to carry on. Do I like it? Of course, I don't like it. I again want to go back to the auditoriums where we have the audience, where we stand in front of them and I see my favorite mic and stand in front of it. But the reality is that it may not happen. It may happen in 3 months, it may happen in 4 months, or we may have to get adjusted to the new normal. So just be prepared for what you have never been prepared with. That is the biggest lesson that we learn. While we may pass out of the pandemic, but the lesson that we have picked out of this pandemic is that just be prepared, because what you always thought is a constant may not be a constant. There may always be changes. So I just read this in one of the interesting articles, I think probably in Economist. It's about the river called Chauleteca, which flows in Honduras in Central America. So Central America has this ferocious river called Chauleteca, which changes its path quite frequently and is hit with floods in a very ferocious way. So every time they build a bridge connecting 2 pieces of land between the river Chauleteca. And every time the flood comes, the bridge gets washed away. So the best brains of the country, the best of architects, the best of engineers, the best of design thinkers got together and they designed a bridge that is going to take the fury of the river when the next flood comes. And they designed a bridge which was so strong, and the strength of materials that they tested was exemplary in a way that no ferociousness of the river will be able to take away that bridge. The next year, the floods were as furious as they were, or probably more severe. But at the end of the floods, When they went and saw, what did they see? The bridge was intact. Nothing happened to the bridge, just stood where it was standing. So we would all think that that's a moment of great happiness for them. They should have been absolutely proud of themselves that their design thinking worked finally and the bridge stands by itself. But what happened was that everybody was absolutely shattered. Everybody was completely devastated because while the bridge was where it was and it was not washed away, because of the severity of the flood that season, the river has changed its path. Now the bridge is as it is, but the river is flowing somewhere else. So changes do catch us absolutely unaware. As chartered accountants, as financial professionals, I think what we are left with, or what we are left with as a learning when we come out of this pandemic, is that just be prepared for what you have always been unprepared. So with that brief background, I'll just tell you why I think I chose this topic, Quiver Full of Arrows. Of course, it's the title of what Jeffrey Archer has written as a collection of 12 great short stories. If some of you have still not read it, I strongly recommend that you do it. As chartered accountants, if you really want a break from your hectic careers and professional lives, I recommend that you just move to literature. And you don't have to move to core literature immediately, but pick up something like an Archer's short story, which gives you a different perspective of life. And guess what? That helps us solve our professional riddles and puzzles quite often. So why did I say that archery is very important for chartered accountants? What do archers have to do with the profession of chartered accountants or the financial world? So there is an interesting reason. All our heroes, like Madam Revati rightly mentioned, that we have heard right from our childhood, have always been archers. The great Karna, the Ekalaiva, Arjun, Lord Ram, or whoever we have heard in our mythology, in our literature, in our stories that our grandmother shared with us, the greatest heroes in our minds, in our myths, in our mythology, have always been archers. So why archery? An arrow that is shot and is still traveling travels at a speed of about 2.5 times the speed of the cheetah, the fastest sprinter on planet Earth. But what is beautiful about an archer is that an archer never sees his bow or the arrow, nor does he see the quiver in which he has stored his arrows. An archer never turns back to see whether his quiver has still arrows, how many are left, how many are placed, are the arrows within the quiver good enough? An archer never sees his quiver. He never sees his arrows. He never sees his bow. All that he sees is only the target. In the Olympic game of archery, it's very interesting, and probably one of the reasons why I chose this topic was that archery was the first contest in which women players were allowed. If you trace back the history of archery in Olympics started almost 776 BC. From then on, in every sprint event, in every event of Olympics, only male players were allowed. The first game, perhaps, where a woman participation was allowed in Olympics was archery. And why was that? Because archery is not only about the power of your physique, it is always the power of your mind. It is the power of your focus. It's the power of your concentration. And that's why women probably play it better than men, or at least they play equally well. That is why Olympics game, the first game that allowed women players to come in was archery. So if you actually see how an archer shoots his arrow, there are 10 concentric circles which are drawn as a target. The middle one, which is the target, which is usually painted in black, is about 12.2 centimeters in diameter. The circle is something like a small CD, right? The distance between the target and the archer is usually 3/4 of the size of a football field. So that's the distance between the target and the archer shoots at this. So my friends, what is the relevance of all these data and information to our lives? I think in a way, all of us are in a battle, whether we like it or not. In our professional life, in our personal life, it is like you are in the midst of a battle and you're a warrior. And now I'm going to give you 3 stories all about archery, and post that, I think I would have done justice to my topic, is what I think. There are 3 stories about 3 archers that I'm going to share with you. The first story is something known to all of us. We have heard it many, many times. We have heard it in our school. Mostly our school teachers have told us. Our grandmothers have told us. Our moms and our dads have told us. So it's the story of the great teacher of archery, Dronacharya, who was teaching his disciples. There were 105 of them, as you know, 100 Kauravas and 5 Pandavas. So 105 disciples have come for the first lesson on archery to this great teacher. The master of archery has put a target on them, which is a hanging bird in a tree. And the bird's eye is what the archer has to hit. And when the students were ready, the teacher asked them a question: what do you see in front of you? And the answers were many. So some answered that I'm seeing the sky, I'm seeing the tree, I'm seeing the river that is flowing behind it, I'm seeing the branches of the tree, I'm seeing the fruits of the tree, I'm seeing the leaves of the tree, I'm seeing the shoots, and I'm seeing the target. One after the other, the students gave the answer and were asked to step aside. And when Arjun came and the teacher asked him, what do you see? Arjun said, I'm seeing the eye of the bird. So the teacher followed up with questions. Are you seeing the mountain behind? No. Are you seeing the river behind? No. Are you seeing the tree? Are you seeing the branches? Are you seeing the fruits? And the answer was no and no and no and no. So what are you seeing? I'm just seeing the eye of the bird, which is the target. So Dronacharya said that this is my disciple and he is going to be the best archer in this country for centuries to come. Several times in our life, my dear friends, when there is a focus and there is a digression, if you are able to ignore the digression and put your vision only on the target and nothing else, then you become the best. And those of us who constantly get distracted, either with our mobile phones, the chiming of the WhatsApp messages that we get, and something that a friend has to share with us. What is Kamal Hassan going to say in Big Boss today? What is Nagarjuna going to say in Big Boss today? What is happening here and what is happening there? When your focus is getting diverted and you're not able to see only your target, then you may not become the best in what you do. Story 1 is known to many. So I'm going to stories 2 now. This is a story of a very old African fable. So there is this king in Africa who wants his son to take over from him. So he tells his son that if you have to become the ruler, you have to become the master of archery. So the son takes it up and he learns archery. He comes back and he reports to his father. And he tells his father that I've learned archery now. So the father said that, son, if you want to complete the lesson in archery, I think you have to go to the forest. If you are able to listen to the sounds of the forest and shoot your arrow on your target, that's when your lesson in archery is completed. So the obedient son went to the forest and he came back and declared to his king and guru and father that I've completed the lesson in archery. So what are the sounds in forest that you were able to hear? The trumpet of the elephants and the roar of the lions. So the father said, your lesson is not complete, go back again. The obedient son went back to the forest. He came again and told his father that my lesson is complete. So father asked him, what are the sounds that you are able to hear now and shoot your arrow? So the son said that I can hear the beating of a butterfly's wings, and I can hear the movement of a snake. So the father said, not good enough, go back, your lesson is not complete. And we may all get envious about the father because the child is so obedient. He listened to his father. He went back to the forest and he came back after a very long time. Father asked him, "Is your lesson complete?" The son said, "I do not know." The father asked him, "What are you able to hear now?" And the son said, "I can now listen in silence about a danger that is not making any noise. I can hear the sun rise now and feel hope." And the father said, "Now you become the king. Your lesson in archery is complete." So, my friends, this story has had a tremendous impact in the way I have seen things. As professionals, as financial professionals, as chartered accountants, are you able to see what is coming? Certain things come with a lot of noise and sound. Things do announce their arrival and then come. There are also things that come to us without any announcement. Are you able to hear the sound of what is coming in silence? If yes, and if you are able to fix your path in accordance, then I think you are successful. My third and last story is a samurai story about archery. This is a samurai wisdom stories which I think make a lot of sense for us when we are really depressed about how our life is. So this story was extremely special to me. This is not a story, it's a part of history of the samurais. In the year 1700, the samurais conduct various events. Some of them are extremely taxing for the human body, but the samurais are able to complete it only with the power of their mind and nothing else. So one such event was completed by the great samurai Hoshino Kanzomon. So what did he do? He did from sunrise to sunset. He was shooting arrows on the target. He was able to shoot at about 8,000 arrows. And he was declared as the winner and the first below heaven. That's the title that they get. So 20 years later, when the same event was happening and nobody has surpassed him, his disciple, Vasa Daihari Cho, he was an archer, well-acclaimed archer who came to participate in that event. From sunrise, he was shooting arrows. When he finished about 6,000, he was not able to lift his hand to take the next arrow from his quiver. His shoulder was so swollen that he was unable to lift his hand and he declared he is giving up. So a man from the audience came up, took a knife and made a deep cut in the shoulder of the archer. When the blood started pouring out, the archer was so alarmed that he raised his hand. And once he was able to raise his hand, he was able to take the next arrow from the quiver and then shoot it. And finally, he made 8,100 arrows. And now he was declared as the first below heaven. The title was given to him. He went in search of the man who helped him do this and asked him, "You made me the winner today. May I know your name? You made me an equivalent to Vasa Haichariko. So can you tell me your name?" He said, "You have my name. You just mentioned it. I am Vasa Daichariko." So this man prostrated before him, and the biggest lesson in archery was delivered in the samurai story, that you are a winner, not only as long as you are able to be the winner, but if you are able to teach others how to win in their respective games. If you are able to pass on your baton, then that is when an archer really wins. So these were my 3 pet stories about archery and the winner. And somehow, if you see life, either in your own profession or outside your profession, if you are able to focus, if you are able to see what is the impending things which is coming in your professional or in your personal life, and if you're able to pass on your baton to the next person, I think we will be winners in whatever field that we have chosen. So I'm again absolutely thankful to everybody for having invited me into this prestigious forum. And as we learn the new normal and strive to lead this life with uncertainties, if we equip ourselves with the eyesight of the archer and the game of archery, whatever it teaches us, I'm sure we'll be able to be winners and pass on our learnings to the next generation. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Good evening to you all.
Thank you, ma'am. May I now request CA Revati Raghunathan, Regional Council Member, to speak a few words on this about the speaker session.
Bharti Bhaskar, your quiver was definitely full of arrows. And, not only arrows of chartered accountants in your family and the story about your husband, I happen to know him a little and I can truly believe whatever you told about him. But, you told us the story of Ekalavya, which we have all heard, like you said, so many times. But you still made it so interesting for us. And the learnings which we have taken, you have reaffirmed those learnings to us again about focus and what we have to learn. And the other things which you said about your second story about hearing the silence. Be prepared for what you're not prepared. I think that is one major thing which we as chartered accountants, most of us try to do. And again, you have reaffirmed that through your talk. And the last thing which you have told us, teach others your skill. And then you are the winners. So, again, here you have reaffirmed that we are all winners because as you all know, as chartered accountants, we do have our own students to whom we pass on our skills. We are very generous about teaching them whatever we know. We, don't say we cannot teach you this. We pass on our skills and we ensure that, the baton is handed forward to the next generation. And again, you have reaffirmed that all chartered accountants are winners. And the last thing which you told, have the eyesight of an archer. I think that's absolutely one of the best things which you could have told us as chartered accountants, because, this is what we are trained for throughout our professional life. And we can never, ever lose our sharpness. And we can never lose our sight. We cannot lose, we can never fail not to see what is there in front of us. And, we have reaffirmed everything in our profession. I think that's because you have a quiver full of chartered accountants within your family, and you have done, made this finale such a fitting one. Telling us that as chartered accountants, what we need to do and reaffirming whatever we have been doing in our profession. Thank you so much for coming and spending your time with us and making this last session something really wonderful and motivational and inspiring for all of us. Thank you so much. Thank you very much.
Thank you, CA
Thank you.
Revati ma'am. Thank you, Srimati Bharati Bhaskar ma'am. We started the conference on time 4 days ago, but you've also helped us to end the conference on time by respecting our time constraints and still delivering such a wonderful thought process. Thank you so much, ma'am. To members who are still logged on, we hope we are sure you're still waiting for the interesting lucky dip. So please stay signed on. Do not log off. We have the valedictory speech, but also the lucky dip. So please stay signed on.
Okay, now we come to a very important announcement. The highest branch participation announcement by Sri Paramashivan, Head of SIRC.
Thank you very much, Chairman SIRC, for giving me the opportunity to announce the highest participating.
Sir, you are muted. Parmasivan, sir.
Thank you very much, Chairman SIRC and the masters of the ceremony for giving me the opportunity to announce the highest number of participants in this SIRC's 52nd regional conference. With 51% participation, with 200 and in absolute numbers 275 delegates. Madurai branch, I repeat, Madurai branch is the highest participating branch of this 52nd regional conference. And I compliment and I place on record the sincere efforts taken by its chairman, A.K. Abhinayasiri and her team, guided by our chairman SIRC Dungarchand Jain sir, for achieving this feat. Wish all the best of luck. Thank you very much.
being a member of the Madurai branch, I'm very proud that we've bagged that accolade. Now, moving on to the valedictory speech, we request Chairman SARC of ICAI, Dungar Chand Jain sir, to give the valedictory speech. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. In fact, a proud moment for Madurai. I remember the initial registrations did pour from Madurai, which gave us and instilled a lot of confidence. And then the last leg, we saw huge numbers coming. So thank you, all members. We at SARC have been trying to give the best of the programs during the year, and we will continue to do that going forward as well. So on the valedictory address, I would like to start my address with the words of Swami Vivekananda. All the power is within you. You can do anything. And if I were to put it a little differently, I will say all power is within us. We can do anything. For me, the real power is teamwork, and that too when the CAs are teammates, I think you can achieve even the impossible. Lord Krishna in Bhagavad Gita mentioned that when people work together on a team, it fosters learning and creativity thrives. And for this 52nd regional conference, the testimony of the way things have happened is kind of evident from right from the start to beginning. Probably I never thought things will go this seamlessly. So I take this opportunity to thank Goddess Meenakshi to see that everything that we have planned has kind of happened right from the beginning to the end. And on behalf of the members of Southern India Regional Council of ICI, I would like to express deep gratitude to various people. Kindly bear with me for the long list because those many people have been actually involved. First, I would like to thank Honorable Union Minister of Finance and Corporate Affairs, Srimati Nirmala Sitharaman ma'am, President of ICI, C. Atul Kumar Gupta, Vice President of ICI, C. Niharan Jambusaria, Central Council members, Office Bearers of SARC, Regional Council members, Regional Conference Convener, C. A. P.V. Rajarajeshwaran, Conference Co-Convener, C. A. Jayasilan, Steering Committee member, C. S. Pradeep, other Conference Committee Chairmen, Conveners and members. All speakers, for paucity of time, I would not like to take their names, but we have had an excellent sessions from each one of them. Very important Masters of Ceremony, C.S. Subhashini from Pondicherry and C.S. Swarnaprada. Registration Committee Co-Convener, C.A.T. Dhavamani, C.A. V. Shivakumar, C.A. Hanumantan from Madurai for their tireless support in release of e-souvenir. And then later that will be printed and sent to each and every delegate. C.A. Mariappan, C.A. Saumya, C.A. Mani Meghalai, C.A. Sri Radha and C.A. Pradeep for their contribution to the e-referencer. In fact, there are many who have contributed. These are the ones who kind of coordinated all the efforts. C.A. M. Selvakumar, C.A. Tirumalai, who are just right behind this TV, which I am seeing. And then C.A. Swarup from Vizag. And very importantly, Mr. Selvakumar from SARC. All these people for an excellent support in the technical front. SARC staff members headed by Dr. Paramasivan in SARC and Mr. Sivanesan in SRO. Virtual help desk team, C.A. Vimala, C.A. Kalavati and C.A. Meena. And members who have participated in the cultural program, ably headed and guided by C.A. Subhashini from Chennai and Renuka Murli for an excellent coordination. Our main sponsors, Tamil Nadu Mercantile Bank and Jamku Office Management Software for giving a 1-year free access to their software. Other sponsors and advertisers, JC Residency Hotel for an excellent hospitality, probably that has been our home for last 5 days. Thanks to the management, and special thanks to Mr. Poo Murugan and C.A. Pradeep for an excellent coordination. I would also like to place on record my thanks to VConfex team, starting with Srimati Diksha Gupta and Mr. Harshit, and very special thanks to Sri Manish, who flew all the way from Bombay to see that we are put at ease here actually. Thanks to Mr. Karthik and Mr. Davasi for the studio arrangements. They kind of gave all the support, the small guidance with which you are able to kind of get things seamlessly. Other vendors who have supported the conference, and my special thanks to my office staff, Mr. Vadivel, Mr. Venkat, Miss Aishwarya and Mrs. Rani. And special thanks to the following members for their kind-hearted and voluntary support. Sri Sidambaranathan Tutukorin, CA PB Santanakrishnan Chennai, CA Shankar Chennai, CA Sundaram R Madurai, CA H Raja Karaikudi, CA Natarajan Salem, CA Deepak Chennai, CA Ramurthy Madurai, CA Selvam Sir Pondicherry, CA Venkatachalam Sir Karaikudi, Mohana Sundaram Sir, ST Venkatesh Sir, CA N Sudhakaran Sir, CA M Rajkumar. Probably if I were to still add, the list will go on, but somewhere I'll have to stop. And if I have missed any names, kindly pardon me, that is purely unintentional and inadvertent. So with this, I thank from the bottom of my heart for all the support that you have rendered for the 52nd Regional Conference, and a special thanks to all the delegates for being patient, kind of wherever there have been some technical glitches, they were able to connect to the help desk and get their things resolved. So probably the word thank will fall short today, but I do not have a better word than that. So thank you so much. And I request the MCs to take over. Thank you, all of you. Sophia also from PVR Sir's office.
Sir, thank you so much. I'm sure we are all also thankful to be an instrument and a part of this grand conference. Thank you for giving this opportunity, sir. Thank you so much. Now may I call upon CA Abhishek Murali to give his word of thanks with the Secretary SIRC of ICAI. Over to you.
Thank you so much, MCs. A very warm good evening to all the participants and delegates who are still here with us today. We've reached the end of what can be called a historic and momentous conference, the first ever virtual regional conference ever held in the history of the ICAI. And I think it's a matter of pride that we have hosted this at our SIRC of ICAI. And this we have done under the leadership of my good friend and my chairman, CA Dungarchand Jain, who, as rightly pointed out on the first day, we can call him Digital Chand Jain, because he is a person who is, the way he likes anything related to digital aspects, not only because of COVID, even before that, whenever we talk in the council or between ourselves, he's always teaching me some new tricks, either in Excel or something else. So to have him with us is always, lead this sort of historic conference is a matter of huge pride and a privilege. My dear dignitaries, this conference could not have been made possible without all of your support. To have a historic number of more than 3,400 delegates joining us from across the world is something which is very, very special. I would like to first congratulate the chairman for being this leader and setting the benchmark at this platform. And I wish to congratulate him as being, I'm right now in Chennai, he's in Madurai. So I extend my virtual congratulations to him. So thank you very much, Chairman. And I am applauding for you here. I'm not sure if you can see me, but I request our past chairman, CA PV Rajarajeshwaran, to please present our current chairman, CA DC Jain, with a memento as a token of our appreciation and the efforts that he has been putting in throughout this year, especially on this regional conference. Thank you so much. I would also like to thank, and I think though the chairman has covered all the people that needs to be thanked, I'd like to specifically thank the staff of the SIRC of ICAI who played a very, very key role. They've been a pillar of our support, and throughout the year, they've made all our programs a huge success. And this virtual conference could not have been done without their support, starting from Paramasivan to Uma Suresh, Selva Kumar, and all the other staff. I know I'm missing people, but I have to thank them and bring it on record over here. And finally, I'd also like to thank all of my council colleagues, both in the regional council and in the central council, for extending all the support that they have provided for us throughout this program. I must finally conclude by saying that this lockdown is nearing the end. And I always say, a bend in the road is not an end in the road unless you fail to make a turn. So I think we've all successfully turned before the end of the road has come. And we're almost at the end of the tunnel where we can see the light since the vaccination is around the corner. But we are still going to continue organizing many programs. Right now, we are going to be organizing it virtually. And like how we've said throughout the year, we request you to please do share your feedback. Anything that we can do better, we would love to make it better. Anything that you want us to organize, we will definitely do that. and we are there to serve the members in the best of our capacity. So thank you all for joining here and making this program a huge success. I wish you all good health and a good life, and of course, a good end to a very busy season at the end of December, as I'm sure you'll all be busy with the work. Stay home, stay safe. Thank you very much. Over to the MCs.
Thank you so much, Abhishek. Now we will have our lucky dip winner in just 2 minutes. Before that, we have end credits to give. Also, before that, we have something very special. Please watch for yourself. Thank you so much. Just give us few seconds. We are just gonna draw the lucky dip.
We can go for end credits first.
Yeah, before that, yes. We'll have our end credits audio visual, please. Thank you so much. Now, the most awaited lucky dip. We will see who is the winner of the lucky dip.
I request the MCs to
There are 795 attendees right now, so let's pick one from that. Okay.
So the lucky dip is actually MC's choice.
So it's the software choice, though, but yes, sir.
Okay, you can chat and get the membership number. I think Sri Lakshmi Valli, I think she's from Chennai, I know.
Sri Lakshmi Valli.
So you can chat and get the membership number for confirmation. So congratulations, CA Sri Lakshmi Valli, for bagging the lucky prize.
Congratulations. Before we officially close the conference, now may I request all the members to raise for the national anthem. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you so much for staying with us to make this conference the most successful one at this point in time. We are signing off now with 52nd Regional Conference 2020 of SIRC until 53rd Regional Conference of SIRC ICAI. Thank you, good night, and have a beautiful, beautiful new year ahead. Happy New Year. Thank you so much.